crowd goes absolutely wild. Alex Eala arrives like an absolute queen in Austria for her very first WTA 500 clay court debut. The noise echoing through the airport arrivals hall in Austria was way too loud for a simple hallway. Philippine flags were waving high, cameras were stacked 2 and 3 rows deep, and 20-year-old Alex Eala stepped right into the chaos, just days before her April 6th debut at the WTA 500 in Linz. This wasn't the welcome you give to a player trying to introduce herself. This was the kind of reception reserved for a rising star whose name had already taken over the building before she even landed. The cheers were loud, but what they really revealed about Alex Eala's place in world tennis, that mattered even more. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and track this story before the rest of the tennis world starts talking about it in hindsight, hit that subscribe button and stay locked in with this channel. Just 72 hours earlier, the last image many fans had was brutal, a tough 0-6, 2-6 loss to Karolina Muchova in the Miami round of 16. Even after that defeat, Eala still flew into Austria as the world number 29, one of the biggest names in the entire Linz field. She left Florida disappointed, but also proud of her week, and fully ready to kick off her clay season. Then the Linz arrival videos started spreading like wildfire on March 25th and 26th, and suddenly the conversation completely flipped. It was no longer about how Miami ended, it was all about what Europe was about to witness. There's no villain here. Just the oldest test in tennis, a brand new surface, a fresh draw, and the big question, can her momentum survive the switch to uncertainty? This is her first ever WTA 500 event on clay. And not just any clay, it's indoor clay. The tournament has completely reinvented itself. Since 1987, it was played on indoor hard courts, until now. After those heavy losses on hard courts, especially that 0-6 bagel against Linda Noskova in Indian Wells and the tough one against Muchova in Miami, some people wondered if the surface switch came too soon. Those defeats left real scars. But that's exactly why the airport scenes hit so hard. Those videos didn't show a player arriving under pressure. They showed a player arriving with armor, carried by belief, protected by massive expectation, and stepping into an entirely different category. The debate is no longer whether Alex Eala belongs at this level. The real question now is, what happens when all that electric energy follows her onto the indoor clay? Just look at what the cameras captured. Multiple fan and media videos show Eala walking through arrivals as Filipino supporters wave flags, chant her name, and push forward just to catch a glimpse. This wasn't polite applause. This was pure emotional possession. She hadn't even played a single point in Linz yet, but the atmosphere already felt like the tournament belonged to her. That's powerful. Because tennis stardom is usually measured after the upsets, after the handshakes, after the trophy shots. Alex Eala is drawing that energy before the draw is even released. If you've been feeling like her rise is turning into something much bigger than just ranking points and scoreboards, Linz just gave you the visual proof. The Upper Austria Ladies Linz Open runs from April 6th to 12th at the Design Center Linz. And 2026 marks the very first indoor clay edition in tournament history. Eala enters as one of the highest-ranked players in a 28-player field. The draw drops around April 3rd. Put yourself in the shoes of the rest of the field. You're preparing for the first ever clay version of this tournament, and the biggest story before practice even begins is this 20-year-old from the Philippines walking in through a wall of flags. That changes the temperature of the entire event. It tells every opponent, this is not a quiet transition week. The speed of her rise is incredible. Just days earlier, she had an impressive run in Miami, beating Laura Siegemund and Magda Linette before falling to Muchova. Even after that loss, her mindset was rock solid. She said, "Of course I'm leaving the court a little disappointed, but overall, I'm really happy with my performance this week." That quote says everything. She refused to let one bad match define her. In the aftermath, she also shared, "I can confirm Miami is still the best. I'll always have a special place in my heart for this tournament." That's not the voice of someone shrinking from the next challenge. That's the voice of a player who knows how to file away the pain, keep the gains, and move forward with confidence. Strong weeks in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. A big breakthrough in Indian Wells, a round of 16 in Miami, and now a fast pivot to clay in Linz. Different cities, different conditions, same upward trajectory. This isn't random heat. This is a career learning how to hold altitude. And that airport welcome? That wasn't just background noise. That was the emotional climax of everything she's built in 2026 so far. Fans didn't travel and wave flags in Austria because of a ranking graphic. They did it because Alex Eala has become a living symbol of possibility, especially for people who see themselves in her journey. Tennis gives us good weeks all the time, but it rarely creates this kind of pull, where a player crosses continents and the welcome feels more like a homecoming than an arrival. The crowd at Linz Airport answered the question before clay's season even started. Alex Eala is no longer just entering tournaments. She is entering them as the event. Her coach, Joan Bosch, who has been with her through this entire rise, keeps it real. His standard is simple and ruthless. We cannot stay in the same level. Indoor clay demands adjustment. A first WTA 500 on clay demands nerve. The airport glamour is beautiful, but the philosophy underneath it is pure hunger. The significance of Linz is clear. Filipino flags waving in an Austrian airport for a women's tennis player who hasn't even started playing yet. That's the globalization of the sport happening in real time. A 20-year-old from the Philippines is carrying audience energy across continents, and that changes how this entire clay swing will be watched. The checkpoints are exciting. The draw comes out around April 3rd. Her campaign begins on April 6th on the new indoor clay. If she gets traction in Linz, even one strong opening win, the conversation around her clay season will shift instantly. No one will see her as a hardcourt player just trying to survive on dirt. They'll see her as a rising star with serious belief and momentum behind her, someone who can make any draw section very uncomfortable. Of course, we have to acknowledge the bruise from Miami. That 0-6, 2-6 loss stung. But Alex didn't hide from it. She felt the disappointment, then chose to focus on the bigger picture of her week. She rested, she reset, and she pointed her season toward clay with clear eyes. That's what the fans in Austria were really greeting. Not perfection, but a young champion who can take a hard landing and still walk into the next arena with her head held high. An airport welcome. Flags from home. A painful but meaningful Miami run. A demanding coach. A tournament reinventing itself on indoor clay at the exact moment Alex Eala arrives to test a new version of herself. Linz wasn't just a side trip. It was a coronation scene disguised as arrival footage. Alex Eala didn't just bring luggage to Austria. She brought proof that her name now moves people before a single ball is even struck. And for those who saw this coming before the mainstream caught up, this week delivered something special. Real-time confirmation that you were reading the signs correctly all along. So tell me in the comments, when the Linz draw drops on April 3rd, what are you more excited about? Her first opponent, or the massive momentum she carried through that airport hallway? And if she opens with a strong win, does Linz become the moment her clay season stops being a question and starts becoming a warning? If you're loving this journey, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. The next time Alex Eala walks into a new city, you'll already understand exactly why the entire room feels different. Let's go, Alex.